Marat Lomakov is here, Finance Director, Europe Supply Chain at Ecolab. Marat, you're welcome and the stage is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Larissa. Happy to be here, and again, big kudos to you and the team for organizing this event. And today I would like to share with you an example of what we've done in our company to better integrate supply chain and then finance teams to manage risk and profitability. And if you go to the next slide, it's basically just a little bit of a snapshot of what was happening in the world recently, and it was becoming more and more challenging, obviously. And last year, we're changing the whole world of supply chain quite drastically. Climate, geopolitics, cybersecurity, all of these put a lot of pressure on resource consumption and consequently on supply chains. We've seen that inflation cycles are getting bigger and wider. Weather changes, climate preservation demand, significantly changing the ways how the supply chain is operating. And well, we all read the newspapers and see it, I guess, very well in our daily operations. And when pandemic, the COVID-19 started, it only amplified all of those challenges by bringing the new ones. Logistics became much more challenging, like Paul just explained. There were much more demand and supply imbalances in the world due to different regional measures. And this only led to massive acceleration of the issues which supply chain was already experiencing and now continuing to experience. So the normal way of doing things is changing, and we call it a new normal. And it also requires a new way of working. And in fact, it gives a perfect case for change and perfect reason for change within the organization. And in Ecolab, like I will be explaining on the next slide, we had already fairly established way and good integrated supply chain and financial planning processes. So, and on example of procurement forecast, I can tell you what we've been doing. So, as a company who is producing a lot of chemical products, we are impacted by raw materials and feedstock pricing impact, which are coming from the external market. And we do the forecast based on our reading of external market indexes and some key commodities which we are following. We map them to specific raw materials which we procure, and based on some historical volumes or volumes projection mapped to the commodities dependencies and market indexes, we can basically do the forecast for our procurement function. However, as I said, the new norm requires also the new way of working. Well, we found out the actionability of the old way of doing business in the business units who are selling these products is actually under question. They don't sell their roles in the end. So, and we found out that we had to go further. And we started to develop locally and finally introduce the system, tool, or technology, you name it the way you want, so which actually integrates the sourcing insight which procurement team had together with products which we are selling into analytics hub, where these end-to-end links can be seen. And on the next slide, I'm going to show you some of the views which are coming out of this system. It's a locally developed proprietary self-service platform powered by BI. And it's very intuitive for any internal user to get the information needed for various purposes. And it helps also exchange a lot of information between the functions. So in this view, you can see that the readings of various commodities are paired to the materials which we procure and products which we sell to specific customer. So it's not only the procurement team who knows what the impacts will be, but also business units who now will be able to understand where in which part of the portfolio, which customers and which products, elements of the products portfolio will be the most exposed to the recent moves. They also can summarize those impacts by the businesses, like shown on the left, for example, and it significantly boosts and also simplify the way how the organizational level forecast can be done. So, and then not only forecast is important here, but also what can be done with this analytics. So on the right, there are some snapshots of various information can be retrieved out of it. So like, well, what are specific products again impacted by certain material moves? what are specific customers are impacted by the same moves. So, and this enables businesses to make some decisions. Do we want to change the price? Do we want to change the portfolio? And this provides, again, a great opportunity to act on this data. It's a huge and complex system, so and not only technology is extremely important here, but also the change management, how it is all implemented and accepted within the organization. So is this tool perfect? No, I have no illusion on that. And I'll be talking on the next slide on some of the challenges which we faced and what helped us to overcome those challenges during this deployment. So, and the first thing starts with an acknowledgement that no system can be perfect. Yeah, we had quite some gaps in master data, in the coverage, in ERPs, source ERPs from which we are taking the data. And here it's extremely important to spend a lot of time on explanation and education. So, and I keep reminding people about the Pareto principle, which has to be followed. And if you have already, I don't know, 80% of the data available there, so should you wait for another 20 to come up to get the information a little bit more accurate, or you can act on this already now based on the data which you already have. So, and speaking of the choice between the speed and the accuracy, yeah, well, we had to prioritize that it needs to be also some time critical system to enable the decision to be taken, because we wanted to provide option to the business for them to act. What else helped to manage the transition? So we had actually to learn to talk the same language. So, well, we realized that we procure raw materials, but business is selling products. Yeah? So, and we need to turn our way of communicating also in the language which will be understood by our business partners. And you may find out that this challenge is also not towards external team, but internal teams. Are they ready for such implementation and such adjustments in the way how they work? Yeah. So, and what helped here in our case is basically the common understanding that the business results needs to be driven by purposeful analytics to deliver the target. And it's not enough just to report the number, just to say, here is what we see, but how this number reported, how can it drive the insight and consequently the action from various business units. And these were some of my practical examples. I don't know if you go the same way of implementing the system or technology like we did, but I hope this would be useful for you to create a case for change and manage the transition in your organization. And now I would like to hear about you and your experiences.